In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the graphical calculator to solve a variety of equations. I've got four different equations here that we're going to work with. First one is a quadratic equation, and so I'm going to go into the equation solver on the graphical calculator, which is there. I'm going to choose F2 for polynomial and agree to, because it's a quadratic, so my highest power is a power of 2. If you noticed at the top of the screen, your quadratic has to be in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0, which mine is, and so I can just put in now the values of a, b and c. A is 5, b is 9 and c is -1. Make sure you use the negative button at the bottom of the calculator here. Don't try using the subtract button. And once I put those values in, F1 will solve it. I get the values as decimals here, but if you scroll onto them, here in the right hand corner, you will get it as an exact value if you've got the 9860. On the 9750, it'll tell you the decimals only. So there's my two solutions for that one. The next question is very similar, but when I get my solutions using A is 3, B is 11 and C is 6, because these are fractional values rather than surds, that tells me that this quadratic will factorise. So I can actually use this now to help me factorise it by finding if x is -2/3, then this factor is 3x add 2. And if x is -3, then the factor is x add 3. The next equation I'm going to solve is a simultaneous equation. So using the exit button, I'm going to go backwards into the main equation menu. And this time I'm going to choose F1 for simultaneous. It's in two unknowns because I'm only working in terms of x and y. And these are both linear equations, so I can use this. Choose an F1, make sure you check what format the equation needs to be in. So this one is anx plus bny equals cn, so it's equal to our constant. So a is my coefficient of x, which is 2. B, my coefficient of y is -1, so again I'm making sure I use the negative button for that one, and that's equal to 6. After each input I'm just pressing the execute button. For my second equation, I've got 4x add 3y is equal to 22. Once I've inputted that, I can press F1 to solve the equation. I've got x is 4 and y is 2. And same as the last one, it'll display here as decimals, but in the right-hand corner, it'll give you the exact values if they are not decimals. So x is 4 and y is 2 for that one. My next equation is still a simultaneous equation, but they're not both linear. I've got one linear and one quadratic function. This will only solve linear functions. So to solve this simultaneous equation, I'm going to use a different part of the graphical calculator. So going back into my main menu, this time I'm going to go into the graph function. Putting both of my equations in, I can choose the type of equation I want to input, but this is y equals. I've just rearranged this equation so it's y equals 3 take away 2x, which I can pop in. 3 take away 2. For the variable x, make sure you use the x theta t button for the variable x. If you use alpha x, that won't work because it's the letter x rather than a variable. For my second one, y is x squared take away 3x add 1. So again, using variable x squared take away 3 variable x add 1 and execute again. These little black boxes over the equals tell me that these are the graphs that will display when I ask my calculator to draw the graphs. I can see the two intercepts here. Let's say I couldn't for some reason. It might be that I'm too far zoomed out. F2 here We'll change the zoom, so I can choose to zoom in or out. If I wanted to zoom out, I could choose F4. Wherever you move the cursor to, that will be the centre of the screen after you execute zoom in or out. Or Shift and F3 view window will allow you to choose the scales that you want on your axes, so the part of the X and Y axis that will display. I don't want to change those, so I'm just going to press exit to go back a step. So here's the clever bit. F5 is G-solve. That brings me up a new menu, and I want to solve for the intersections. So F5 again, it's chosen the first intersection here, and the bottom of the screen is telling me the X value there is -1 and Y is 5. So that's my first pair of solutions. To get to this second set, I just scroll across using this scroll wheel here, and X is 2 and Y is -1. There's my second set of solutions. I could solve these linear simultaneous equations in exactly the same way by plotting both equations as linear functions in this menu here, and then again asking the calculator to draw them and using the G-solve function to find the intersections.